In the world of professional sports, there's this one team that it doesn't quite make sense. By pretty much every measure you can think of, they're a powerhouse. They win, and they win a lot. But they're haunted by one huge thing missing from their trophy case.
So let's just get right into it. How is it even possible for one of the most consistently great franchises in NBA history to have never, not even once, won it all? Well, that is the paradox of the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, let's start with the facts. Check this out. If you look at the all-time winning percentage of every single team in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns are 5th. That's incredible. We're talking about a legacy of winning that most other teams can only dream of.
And then there's this number, a big round 0. No championships, 3 different trips to the NBA Finals, decades packed with legendary players, and still no rings to show for it. It's just a wild contrast, and honestly, it's what makes their story so unbelievably compelling.
This is really where it all comes together. The Suns have this, let's call it a unique honor. They have the best winning percentage of any team in the league that has never won a title. They are, quite literally, the NBA's winningest losers. So let's dive into the history of all their almosts.
All right, our story starts way back in 1976. And you gotta understand, this team wasn't supposed to be here. This wasn't some powerhouse full of superstars. Now, they were the ultimate scrappy underdogs, the kind of team that the whole league starts rooting for.
In a run that absolutely nobody saw coming, this 76 Suns team, who just had a 42-win season, found themselves facing the defending champion Golden State Warriors. And what happened? They pulled off one of the biggest upsets in NBA history and punched their ticket to their very first NBA Finals.
And this first shot at a championship? Well, it started a heartbreaking pattern for the franchise. They battled the mighty Boston Celtics in an epic series, which included an absolutely legendary triple overtime Game 5. But they fell just short. They lost in 6 games, and that precedent, well, it was set.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit. We're jumping ahead to the early 90s. The Suns are about to walk into the most iconic era in their history, and it's all being led by one of the biggest, most charismatic personalities the game has ever seen.
The timing for this was just perfect. In 1992, the team moved into a brand new arena. They got rid of their old look for this bold new streaking sun logo, a whole new identity. The stage was set for a new beginning. All they needed was the final piece of the puzzle. And that final piece was Charles Barkley. His arrival completely flipped the script for the franchise. I mean, in his very first season, Sir Charles wins MVP. The Suns win a franchise record 62 games, and they blast their way to the NBA Finals for the second time. It really felt like destiny.
But destiny ran into a buzzsaw named Michael Jordan. At the absolute peak of their powers, the Suns faced maybe the greatest athlete in history who was at the peak of his powers with the Chicago Bulls. And once again, the Suns fought hard, but once again, they fell in a gut-wrenching 6-game series. After Barkley left, the Suns kinda entered this transitional period. They were still pretty good, but they couldn't quite get back to that top tier. So the franchise started to rebuild. They drafted this young phenom named Amari Stoudemire. And then, in 2004, a familiar face came back to Phoenix, a Canadian point guard named Steve Nash. And he didn't just come back, he brought a basketball revolution with him. I mean, this is a perfect example of how one single player can totally redefine a team. With Nash running the show, the Suns didn't just win games, they literally revolutionized the sport with a style that was just breathtaking to watch. The philosophy, which came from coach Mike D'Antoni, was both simple and radical. It was called 7 seconds or less. The goal was to get the ball and try to score within 7 seconds, before the other team's defense could even get set. It was just pure, high-octane offense.
It was like a beautiful, chaotic symphony. You get the ball, you push the pace like crazy, you attack relentlessly, and you find a good shot before the other team even knows what hit them. It completely changed how offense was played across the entire league.
And this run-and-gun team became a global sensation. Steve Nash went back-to-back MVP awards. And in 2005, they tied the franchise record with 62 wins. But in a really cruel twist of fate, a mix of key injuries and some controversial moments in the playoffs meant that even though they were the most exciting team for years, they never even made it back to the finals.
So after the Nash era faded, the Suns really fell in some hard times, going through a 10-year playoff drought.
But a new star was rising in the desert, and wouldn't you know it, with him came that all-too-familiar pattern of hope and heartbreak.
A young shooting guard named Devin Booker became the new face of the franchise. And for years, he was stuck on some really bad teams. But slowly, the front office built a talented young group around him, and they brought the Suns back from the dead. The last piece, a lot like Barkley decades before, was a veteran superstar. The arrival of point guard Chris Paul in 2020 instantly took the Suns from being a promising young team to a legitimate contender, and he led them all the way back to the NBA Finals.
And this time, it really felt different. They jumped out to a 2-0 series lead on the Milwaukee Bucks. They were just 2 wins away from finally getting that title, but then heartbreak. The Bucks stormed back, won 4 straight games, and snatched the championship away. Just a gut punch.
So that brings us right back to our central question. You've got 3 distinct eras, 3 legendary teams, 3 trips to the NBA Finals, and 3 agonizing defeats. When you lay it all out like this, the pattern is just uncanny. 1976, 1993, 2021. Different players, different opponents, but the exact same result every time, a 6-game series loss in the NBA Finals. It's a history of being great, but just never quite great enough. Which, of course, leaves us with the ultimate question for this franchise and its fans. After so many near misses, after so much heartbreak, what combination of talent and timing and luck is it finally going to take for the Phoenix Suns to climb that mountain and win their first ever championship?